This is the meeting of the Fairfield Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee on January 19th at 6 p.m. It is now currently 6:10. We are meeting at the Old Town Hall on 611 Old Post Road. My name is Steve Neidick. I'm the interim chair of the committee. And with that, I'd like to start off with a call to order. Mike Allen, not present. Jay Behan,
Present.
Tim Callahan,
Present.
Steve Collins,
Present.
Steve Neidick, yes. Tom Keene,
Yep.
yes. And Jose, he told me he was going to phone in, but as of right now he hasn't. And Mary Tomei Strito is also not present. And we still do have an open position, and somebody that put their name in like a year and a half ago or something, they reached out to this person, name was Laura or something, and hello? Oh, okay. And the person declined, so there's still an opening here. Okay, so we do have a quorum. We have 5 people. I just want to talk a little bit about why this is a special meeting, and that came on the when I sent the agenda into the town clerk. They says, well, you never sent a calendar of meetings. So I said, okay. I sent it to Jennifer, which I did. It was last Friday, I think, and in that it says there's an FOI document that says that the committees are required to send in their calendar meetings by January 31st, 2023. So when I sort of sent back to the town clerk and said, because they said it has to be a special meeting because the meeting wasn't posted on the calendar. I said, okay. I said, but I did send the calendar in prior to the deadline, so is it now a regular meeting? And all they did was send me this FOI document again, and basically said, even though, because I sent the agenda to them first, they couldn't accept the agenda again, and I had to resend the calendar of meetings directly to them, even though I forwarded it, the same calendar that I had sent directly to Jennifer. So at that point, didn't want to get totally angry, but the point is that a special meeting, no items can be added to the agenda. That's really the big difference. Okay, so let's just proceed along that path and do that. We could still vote on anything that's on here. So the first item to vote on would be the approval of the minutes from December 15th, 2022. And I did send around, thank you, Tom. The meeting was not recorded, and I don't know why. I sent that to Jennifer, and she's going to look into it, why it was not posted to the website. So I took very weak notes, as you can tell from my little thing. But Tom sent me a couple other items, which I added in to a revised agenda. Hopefully you all saw that. And if you did, I think it's good. And also, we did talk a little bit about kind of really keeping the minutes more compact. We don't need 2 or 3 pages of minutes. That's especially when it's recorded. If it's not recorded, certainly you could probably put more detail in there. But since it's recorded, so anyhow,
what happens to the recording?
It gets posted. No, it gets posted to the website. You can go in and click on meetings.
Can they hear us?
I don't know. Hello.
Yeah. Hi. Who's there?
Hi. We
the other meeting location.
Yeah, we are in actually the new building.
What?
Huh?
We are in the new building, actually. I think your meeting is in the Old Town Hall, 2nd floor?
Yeah, that's where we are, yep.
Okay, I'm sorry. We are in the wrong place. So we should be coming there.
Wait, why did
No, we're not. We had to move the venue.
Why?
Oh, why? Oh, can
why?
you come here and send it, or we have to go
It's a little bit of a long story because the calendar was not posted prior to the meeting, so therefore the room wasn't scheduled, and there's somebody else in there, and blah blah blah. So we're able to get this room. So yeah, please come over. Whoever's on the call, if you want to come over, that'd be great. We just basically started the meeting, and at this point we're just looking at approving of the minutes from December 15th. We do have a quorum. Who else is there? Was that Mega that was speaking?
Yes, this is Megha and Mary.
And Mary, okay, Mary didn't read the memo, my email, obviously, because it said right in there in red, please. I'm only teasing Mary, but it did say, please notice in big bold letters, the meeting is at Old Town Hall. Anyhow, so come on over, okay?
Okay, it's on second floor, right?
Second floor, yep.
Okay, I have to wear my jacket.
Okay, we'll see.
Dress warm.
Okay, I'll see you there.
We'll see you in a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
See, I'm putting my phone down now.
Okay. Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the minutes from December 15th? Tim? Second?
Yep.
Steve? C? Any comments, discussions, questions, changes, amendments to the minutes?
The only thing, and you don't have to put in, but I did bring up the debris in that bike lane along Mill Plain, and they told me that I had to be specific as to where it was. And one of the comments from the cop was, you think we're going to sweep the entire length of the street? We're going to drive a machine out there.
Yeah, even though, we don't need to put that in there because,
I was amused by it.
yeah, I know. Bill Hurley is not going to be here, but he did send me a few notes, and he did address that a little bit. I'll just read when his thing comes up here, what to do. So anyhow, if there's no other comments, we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? So it's approved unanimously. In Santina, I'm going to jump around a little bit. Well, actually, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to. Well, let me backtrack a little bit. Is Mary Hogue on the call? There's another thing going on. It's called the Street Project Film over at the library, and that's where Bill is. There's some type of panel discussion. And Mary indicated that she, wanted to go to that too. So I Googled it, and it's on YouTube, yeah. You can see it on YouTube, and I watched it, and we can talk about it a little more later. It's going to be homework for the committees. It's 55 minutes, and it's really good. It's something we definitely all should see and have some discussions on. I could give I just took a few notes from it. I'll share those later. But so that's where Bill is for sure. But Megha, who is Bill's kind of assistant, I guess, is on her way over here, and she'll give us a little bit of the engineering. So I won't even bother reading Bill's report. Since she's probably going to do the same thing. All right, Santina, why don't you go ahead with your report, okay?
Okay. I mean, there's really not much to update. Everything's kind of status quo. We do have the grant funds that we have to spend by September 30th. And unfortunately, with the holidays, and I'm pretty sure my kids brought home every single virus that's going around in the month of December and January, it's been hard to connect with Bill. I just haven't emailed him to kind of see what projects. So that's my goal, is kind of for us to discuss some projects, and then hopefully next month we can bring it to the group and kind of decide how we want to spend the grant funds.
Okay.
Again, it's about $15,000, and then $7,000 is for Greenfield Hill for all of the signage.
Okay. Can I put in the minutes that you're going to present that, or you're going to present that at the February meeting? Is that fair? Or is that not enough time?
Yeah, that's great. No, that's plenty of time.
In December, it said that you and Bill, I guess you and Bill work on that together?
Yeah, so usually what we do is we will decide, sorry, my TV just shut off. My 3-year-old is freaking out. So usually what Bill and I do is, he'll tell me some projects that will fit in with the amount of money that we have. And then we'll bring it to the group and kind of get your input, and then we make a decision that way. So it's usually how we've done it before. If anyone has any project ideas, just let us know. But again, it's only $15,000. so it doesn't come very far. But now that I'm thinking about it, I think Bill said that he wanted to continue doing South Pine Creek. So I will get the details from him to figure out how much more like he wanted to do and what parts, and we can discuss it at the next meeting.
Yeah, I think he wanted to complete, I don't know if he's completing the gap or he wanted to do even more than that.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Do you have anything else that you're thinking about or no?
Nope. No,
Okay.
unless the group has some other project that, if anyone else has like a project idea, just let us know, and then we can kind of make a final decision at the next meeting.
Can you just give us some of the, I'm sorry, Tim, 1 second. Can you just give us some of the projects that you've done in the past? You know, we know about the sidewalks on South Pine Creek, but just an idea. Was the bicycles, was that one of them?
Yeah, so we've done a lot of the bike routes. We've done the Wilson Street, which connected Wilson Street to Lincoln Park. We did South Pine Creek. We did the bike share one year. And that's when we had like the 10 bikes with Zane. We've done like bike racks before. I'm trying to think. I think that's pretty much it since I've been here.
Yeah, the one thing that pops into my head is there was, the Villa Avenue issue that I don't really know where that ended up and what's going to be done. I know there was a lot of things tossed around, so is there maybe an opportunity there to do something? So, and I don't have an answer by any means, but unfortunately, this group was somewhat excluded from that, which is, like I said, unfortunate. But I know a little bit about it, and I know Bill knows a lot more about it, and Megan knows maybe more about it too. So we'll let her speak. Go ahead.
This is for Villa Avenue?
Yeah.
Improvements, right?
Yeah.
From Amy, who complained about
Right, for the speeding and
accidents. Yeah, so Villa Avenue, what we have done is we have added shoulder lanes. They're wide lanes.
Yep.
And we have added approximately 7 foot wide.
Just like the ones on Brooklawn Avenue itself?
Yep.
No plane.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So they're 6 inches thick, and that's what we have added in
It
there
has slowed it down
right
too.
now.
It's made a difference.
I would think it does, yeah.
I live over there, so.
Speed monitor.
Yeah, feedback sign, there's a feedback sign was placed, it was actually donated by IGE Center, to the town. It rotates in the circle, it is one place for 4 weeks and then it will go into another place for 4 weeks, it's a rotation. So, I went there, last week, I found a difference. I definitely saw that drivers were not as aggressive as they were before in driving. They were managing the speed because the speed is a narrow and there's a thick 6 inches lane. So it has improved from what we were there before and what it is now. So we are studying that. We have emailed, we're coordinating with Police Commission. We have sent them an email that to study the speed difference by putting the black cat data, a black cat instrument, so that they know that speed, how much they have come, the difference. So that's the first step towards the study. And then we'll see what differences it is making. If it is not making, then we have other steps to follow in that route. Like, the sidewalk improvement is the other one that we have purchased 150 Villa Avenue property.
I'm sorry, where?
150 Villa Avenue.
Oh, okay, so there are some sidewalk needs on Villa Avenue?
Yes.
Okay.
So we will extend the sidewalks in both that side, so that will help for the pedestrians on both sides of but that is a long term a little bit because we have just purchased it, so once, all things are settled, whatever formalities are. So. What's
the cost of, what are sort of the sizes of the blocks of sidewalks? Is it 3 feet or 4 feet?
What, for sidewalks?
When you do a sidewalk, they put like they put a groove in there every X number of feet, let's say?
The panels?
Yeah, let's call it a panel, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're 3 feet
And they're 4 feet wide, right?
They're, technically, we allow for 5 feet now, the new sidewalks
Okay.
are, going for 5 and 6 feet. 4 feet is the minimum, you cannot go over.
So if you had to guess, what's one of those panels cost? I'm just trying to get an idea for $15,000, how many feet of sidewalk could you do? Not a lot, right?
No, not
Like what?
not that much, but the
20
more challenging than sidewalk over there is the steep slope around that 150 Avenue I'm talking, that's the only section that is missing the sidewalk.
Where is that?
That
That is a curve?
Yeah, the Brooklyn
No,
intersection.
no, I know that street, I travel on it quite
Yeah.
frequently.
Really?
So the area you're talking about is on the curve?
Yeah, when you come from Brooklyn,
Right, so
when
you,
you turn right on your right.
yeah, you turn right
Yeah.
onto the Villa and go up.
Yes, yes,
So there's sidewalks on the left side,
Nothing on the right side.
nothing on the right side.
nothing on the right
Is it Stop and
side.
Shop? No.
Yeah,
No,
it ends
Stop
at
and Shop
side near the
and,
car wash.
No,
yeah,
that's, no,
That's
it's
still
it
there.
ends,
past 750, like that's,
it ends
The other
there
side.
at Stop and Shop.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's right, okay, so it goes up.
Goes on, yeah. Right.
So there's a section that's missing sidewalk
Yes.
on the left?
Yes,
Okay, where there's a little bit of an incline?
yes,
Okay.
and incline, and then there's a steep slope where that section is missing. It's
Okay.
like
Oh,
a
yeah,
steep
yeah, yeah,
embankment.
yeah, right.
That's where the challenge is, because we have to cut the slope, and, we have to put the retaining wall. So that will cost more than
Sure.
putting
That'll
the
be a little
panels
bit.
together.
Yeah.
So that's where we have.
Well, again, the town has funds too. I mean, you know, it's their deal, really.
You're living off of this grant.
Not using just grant money to do sidewalks, you know, so.
So, yeah, so that was what we did last time as like a immediate short-term goal. We did study the speeds, were not like, they were not speeding, they were in average range. There were not enough pedestrians on Villa Avenue, only found 1 or 2 pedestrian crossing we went morning, we went afternoon, we went evening, so there were not enough pedestrians. But that doesn't mean that it holds up from any kind of improvement, but when we were studying these data we were collecting. So based on the data we collected, and I had a full-fledged report of collections, we suggested let's go with this first step, which is repainting the shoulder line, which is very necessary because when we were driving, it gives a sense like it's a wide open roadway, I can do anything I want. But now it kind of takes away that. And there were like sightline issues over there on Lewis Street opposite, I'm forgetting the name of that street right now, but there was a sightline issue, so we will be cutting the tree and regrading, leveling that. Now for tree cutting, you have to go through permission from everyone, or there's a big tree. So those are kind of improvements.
Now, did you see Bill's little recap that he emailed to you? If I could maybe just read.
Yeah, sure. I don't know if I am.
If I could just read it and you can just comment, you know, it says, Steve, from my notes I had one, request for DPW to sweep bike lane / shoulder areas more than once a year or to remove debris when applicable. And Tim, I think you wanted to jump in here and tell us your experience with that, right? Or
I'm sorry.
did the request to sweep the lanes, did you actually reach out to DPW?
No, well, I brought it up at the last meeting.
Right.
And they told me that I should try to get the address of the house that I'm riding by.
Right.
Where the debris is.
Yeah.
Which is kind of impractical. I'm riding a bike and I'm moving. And, you know, I suggested that maybe since we created these, I guess, unofficial bike lanes on Mill Plain, but they're used a lot. I see people biking there. I go down there a lot. And there's always somebody riding. So if you're going to create that and try to get people to use it, you got to maintain it. And oftentimes I find myself riding in the travel lane because there's gravel and branches, stuff, and I don't want to get flat. So I brought it up to Bill and the police guy who was here.
Frank.
And their response was, you got to get the address. But, you know, think about that. Afterwards, I was thinking about it. I said, wait a minute. They're going to send a street sweeper out to this house in the middle of the block. Well, why wouldn't they just put the brushes down and sweep the whole street? I mean,
Well, it might not be the street sweeper, it might just be a couple of guys on a truck with brooms. So, you know, they say go to
Yeah.
22 Skidoo Street, they're gonna go to 22 Skidoo Street. I mean,
Yeah, but it's multiple places.
Yeah,
So, I think my point is, if you're gonna create a bike lane, then I think you have an obligation to maintain it.
Yeah.
And if you're not gonna do that, then don't bother. What's the point? We're
Mhm.
kidding ourselves.
So Bill said anything on maintenance schedule?
Once a year.
Okay. So now, just to go, let's say it's once a year, did you go through key alerts and
That's
wrote
what I
it
was
down?
told to do.
And okay,
Honestly,
let's see.
you know what?
Anyway. Yeah.
This may be extreme. I was gonna borrow my son's GoPro and put it on the bike helmet. You just film the whole thing, so you can see what I'm talking about.
No, I completely get your point, and I'm trying to get with the schedule.
Yeah.
Not in our hands to change the schedule maybe, but it's a good point, valid point. We can bring it to DPW in our next meeting. It's a good point that you have brought up.
Would it be worthwhile, Tim, do you mind putting in, I've done 2 or 3 requests for services, and they work pretty well.
Okay.
Would you mind putting in?
I'll do it.
It's all you do is you fill it out, and they have to track it, and they have to, keep it open, or give you a response, or whatever, and you generally have to follow up, sometimes multiple times. But, say, even if you wanna suggest, can they come by, especially in the fall or whatever, before winter, and go along the whole with the truck and a couple of guys and just pick up the branches and throw them in there, or whatever.
It's more gravel and,
Oh, it is?
and, just sand
Well, that's
and stuff
street
that-
sweeping, and that's,
Yeah,
yeah,
all they have
yeah.
to do is run a street sweep
Yeah,
down.
yep.
Oh,
Okay.
They do the Q alert and they get
I
back
didn't
to
do
you.
it, but, fine, I'll do it. I don't have a lot of hope.
It will happen. no
But
matter.
if you, but if you have it, if you have it out there,
Yeah.
there's something to be said. I'll give you an example of where I live. There's a speed sign, a radar sign. Okay, so it's Fairfield Beach Road, and it's the dead end part, and there's, people do speed down there. Okay, there's no sidewalks. Start with that, so it's walking related for me. But the sign's been out. I put my first service request in about a month ago. And, when you approach, it reads your speed and it puts up 25, and then turns red if it's over 25, whatever the case is, right? And I think it's a deterrent. I happen to think it's a good deal. I did that, and, unfortunately, nothing was getting done. I put a second request in, nothing was getting done. So I sent I reached out directly to Hector, I think his last name is Azara, he's the traffic lieutenant.
Yeah.
Okay. And he got on it right away, and he goes, let me look into it. He goes, we subcontract that out. And then, coincidentally, he sends me an email. He goes, I'll let you know when it's working. And it had not been working. He goes, we fixed the problem. And I got back to him, and I says, well, no, it's still not working. He goes, well, I drove by there the other day. I says, well, I don't have to tell you, but drive by now, it's not working. And it's still not working to this day. And so now it's been a month. So we've had a sign.
Bubblegum connections, right?
We have a sign, and unfortunately, I think to me, the big problem is it's solar powered. I even put that in there to him. And they have the solar panel facing northeast. Here's the sign, here's the road, here's the sign. The solar panel should be facing this way.
Yeah, but it was reflection was blinding people, because it's sitting in the sun, so.
You give them a sundial for Christmas.
Or it needs a new battery. Those batteries don't last forever. They recharge, and then you put a new battery in. And I suggested that. I actually sent him another email follow-up saying, by the way, Hector, just so you know, I walked my dog today, but it's still not working. So anyhow, the point is, it does get noticed. You may have to follow up, and I think it's worth putting in that you're a member of the FBPC too. And there's concern amongst the board members, for safety. I think
And maybe instead of saying in front of, 123 Mill Plain Road, say Mill Plain Road from
right.
that street.
Right, the worst.
To that, and maybe
right.
Make it a 4-block stretch or something.
Right, the worst stretches that I've encountered is between, Street A and Street B, and also between Street C and Street D. Maybe that something as specific as that is a good starting point. I don't know.
I'll give it a shot.
Okay, thank you. Let's see.
But back to that grant that you were talking about.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
We have a master plan and the complete streets thing we're gonna talk about. They're both dated, and I think we've had some discussion about updating the plan. Could some of that grant money be used to hire a facilitator to help us do that?
My personal opinion is we're better off doing it ourselves, okay? And, no, let me finish, okay? Because I was not aware of the document that Tom sent me this afternoon. We have an annotated copy. I don't know who did. I looked at it real quick, but there are a lot of notes in there already for this has been done. And that's really to me, I think the first step is to just get stuff out of there that's done, okay? And I think we have to send the annotated copy to the Board of Selectmen eventually we just can't make changes, okay? They want to know what the changes are. So whoever did the annotation, and you know.
Sorry to interrupt.
You did that?
So, who sent it to you, that copy? Because I sent, if I am right.
Tom sent it to me today.
Yeah.
Can I see the copy? Because I get those.
It came from,
It's got a lot of nice
Raina Hall emails.
Yes.
It's got a lot of red boxes on it and stuff.
Yeah, that's mine.
Yeah.
That's yours, yeah. I mean, that's extremely valuable.
I did it.
Yeah.
So
I
this
didn't
is
do
where
it,
my
no.
point was. Actually, I did this last time when Sarah was
Right.
here.
Okay.
So Sarah and I sat together once outside, and she had the same thing that what we are doing. And I was new to the town, just joined in 2021, so I wasn't aware we had this whole plan in place. So we were talking, and I said, yes, this definitely needs an update, because Bill and I have been discussing just virtually, and he said, we have done this and we have done this, but this doesn't reflect it. So Bill and I sat together, and I asked him what updates this needs to be done, and this is why this was more for information for Sarah to know that we have done so much, in the past, and this needs to be done, and each department was responsible for this master plan. So that was more for information purpose.
Okay, so do you feel like, your department has done, the engineering department has done, a good amount of detail as far as updating that, eliminating things, et cetera? And that my second part of the question is, who else needs to look at this on the town side? Can you recommend, like, you guys have probably the most input, I would think.
Yes.
Who's next on the list? DPW?
No, it's actually us, and I will have to look, and various departments that are.
I know you keep saying you're saying various departments, but I want to know, where are those departments?
Technically, what happened is, this master plan this was actually developed by the Greater Bridgeport Regional, that is MetroCog.
Yeah.
So they never ever hired anybody. It
Yeah.
was given to MetroCog, so they produced it for whenever back.
Yeah.
Was in 2013.
Excuse me, how did they do that? Did they have meetings with open?
She's only been here a year.
2013, I was not even here.
We don't know.
None of us were.
I was just out of college looking for jobs.
So we don't know how.
Nobody hired me for internships. So, yeah, I don't know how this was developed back then. And a lot of people who are involved in acknowledgement sections, there are committee members, there are advisors that were, I think MetroCog had a meeting with. And this is all introduction part of, which is always on paper. I don't know who reads and follows implementation, but anyhow. So, technically, this is what we highlighted, what has been done so far.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we were gonna ask to get another one done, one of the objectives to ask Brenda was to have this redone. Why, so.
It's 10, so.
Yes, I'm saying, so that's what I thought.
Yeah, it's very old, and this definitely needs updated revision, that is for sure. Now, how we are going to do it?
See, that's why
I mean, see, but I think it's town departments that need to do it, not us.
No, I agree. Well, I think we should be part of it.
No, I think they should have a
Should be a
consultant do
group,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
No.
for me, our group.
The what?
But the town as well.
Facilitate meetings
I think
with us.
they're the ones that,
Get somebody who knows this.
Yeah.
They approved
yeah,
this, right?
Or whatever, yeah.
Well, department heads.
Well, not Fairfield Town Employees, somebody outsourced consultant who does this for.
Yeah, but who knows better what's going on in the town than the town?
So,
No,
here's
you
the
need an
thing.
outside unbiased
So,
engineer to
So
run the
my
survey
first
and
question
decide
would
what
be,
needs to be
before
done.
we go further, I mean, last
Okay,
pages.
what happened with that one?
Yeah, last pages are just done.
Yeah.
You don't don't need all this.
Right,
Because they're
right,
all,
right.
that is less
Not
fluff.
town residents.
Right,
not town
I
residents.
understand, yeah.
So I think the way we should
Well, they shouldn't be.
be
It should be
defining what we
unlimited.
need to go into these kind of papers. Do we really need to say what it is there, or we want to select something that should be in our master plan? So what exactly we want to see in our master plan, that should be implemented.
Well, let me ask you a question. I agree, you can't go ask for
Right.
the new version. Well, what happened with the old one? We don't really know, that's why we want a new one. But we have this master plan, and we have this complete streets policy. Let me ask a stupid, simple question. Do we need both of these things?
Isn't complete streets part of the plan?
I don't know.
It's a separate policy.
This came in 2018, that came in 2013.
Yes.
Some
because
history.
The plan called for the complete streets policy to
Right,
be
that's right,
developed,
right.
and then it took 5 years to get it.
Yeah. I just think that has to be redone, and then we can work off of that. That's gonna be the guide for us, let's work off of based on their recommendations.
I'm sorry, I thought the complete streets policy, correct me if I'm wrong, is more authoritative than the plan. That's how
The way, and I'm realizing I'm like the weak link to the past here, because I've been, I think, on the board the longest here, so, and I was not involved with putting the complete streets together, but I think you're right, is that it was, the master plan was just that, it's a plan for the committee. The complete streets is guidance for development throughout the town. And that was really, in 5 years, it was a ton of work that we put in it. They're constantly meeting with people and getting their counsel and, trying to negotiate what these components are gonna be. So, a lot of work went into getting the complete street things to where it is today. To the extent that it's being implemented, I don't really have a visibility to that. But I think it's valuable in that, it alerted all the constituencies as they were putting it together.
It would appear that it's toothless.
Well,
That,
this got into,
and like, Bill, as much as you could say, sort of said, yeah, there's, well, until someone in this building says that, nothing's gonna happen until we ask, like, what is the point of this committee if you're not gonna do any of the stuff that you said you're gonna do? We might as well not waste our third Thursday of the month.
Mm-hmm. I agree, however, she did ask us to bring her objectives to give her a chance to work with her, and we didn't do that.
Right.
No, I agree with that.
So I think one of the objectives is to update the plan, make it current.
Yeah,
Sure.
that has a few months.
Yeah.
You may want to
So,
throw your
but
idea,
then the question is, how do we
what you
do that?
want to see.
Well, we bring it to her and have her help too. This is what we're suggesting. How do you suggest we do it? Here's what we'd like to do. How do you want us to help you to get an engineering firm to do this? We need to bring that to her and ask for the guidance on how to lead that.
On the plan, that is,
Yes,
correct? Okay,
yes.
okay.
But, simplify.
What about, now, I'll say, what about the complete streets policy? What are we gonna do with that? Because it seems to me they're separate, but they're kinda like intertwined.
My feeling is we should just try to do one at a time. Let's try to get the master plan revision going, and, when you get to the sections in there that talk about complete streets, then we could, look at complete streets, because I don't really know either. But something in here, I'm just, while you guys are looking at stuff, but on page 4, it says, the town has recognized the importance of biking, walking in its 2000 Plan of Conservation and Development, the POCD, which are listed below. I mean, to me,
Which one are you with?
page 4, it's under introduction.
No, that was a master plan.
Master plan, I'm sorry, yep. But my point being that, assuming this POCD still is in existence, they're the ones that should, if you want to go by past history, they're the ones that should give us information that we are relative to what we're doing, which is what I think they did here, and have them provide that update. And kind of do the same thing page by page.
Who's responsible for the plan of conservation and development? Is it the planning department?
It's the conservation department.
Who's the head of that now?
Tim Bishop.
Is that,
Tim Bishop?
Is that a separate department, or is that part of Public Works, or?
Separate.
No, they're separate, yeah, I know that.
Okay.
But anyhow, that's where, you know,
Yeah.
and then there's a lot of technical stuff in here that we know nothing about, like the, you know, there's a lot of acronyms in here, but, what was the other one that began with an A? Here, AASHTO.
ASHTO, that's the ASHTO National.
American Association of State Highway Transportation Officials. I mean, they should, you know, to me, they should tell us what's relevant now versus what is relevant in the old plan, or what we should keep and what we shouldn't keep, that type of.
That's exactly what Mary said. Find somebody who knows this business.
But I almost think that we should be more specific. I think we should go to Brenda and say, we would like to have the input that was previously supplied by the AASHTO and the POCD to go through and implement, go through the current and make recommendations for changes to the revised schedule. I think we need to.
They could look at this, I mean, you're talking 23 years old now. This was 2000.
Well, no, this was endorsed in 2013, so.
Policies in a 2000 plan.
Their plan, yeah.
Yeah.
But
I think,
But maybe there was another one, maybe they do it every.
But my point is like, this was done years ago, what you want to see that is also implemented.
We'd like to see what has been done from this plan, and then determine, okay, this is what we're after, here's where we are, where are we gonna go from here?
Okay, you want
And we
to
need- But I think the part of where we're going from here, it would be very beneficial to everybody, us and the people who work for the town, to hear from somebody who does this every day.
Yeah.
Say, okay, here's where the field is today, this is what's happening. You guys, and then decide how much of that, because some of it is extreme, you know, they'll, like, protected bike lanes all over it. Okay, what does Fairfield have the appetite for?
I think the consultants should take this and let them.
You're assuming they're gonna hire a consultant, and I'm saying, I don't think.
But you don't know they're not going to. Brenda asked for us to tell what our needs are, and
I
that's
don't
something
think-
that we need.
But how about
Instead of
using a
taking
grant?
20-year-old, policies, it's.
Yeah, but I personally think we as a committee need to do it. I'm gonna go to page 11 now, okay, education requirements, okay? I'm going to point 5. Work with the Fairfield Public School Health Coordinator, okay? We should say, we would like the information from the Fairfield Public School Health Coordinator regarding their previous input into the plan. I think we need to develop a list of associations that worked on this, and can they revise, you know, update the plan, their pieces of the plan, okay, as a starting point.
How are they gonna update it? Do you think that they know what's been happening for 10 years? Have they been actively involved for 10 years to know what's going on and what's been implemented in the town?
No, but they can look at this one line and say, work with Fairfield Public School Health Coordinator to introduce innovative bicycle pedestrian educational resources. Somebody should write in here, this has been done, or it hasn't been done.
Well, I don't think we know the answer.
Steve?
But the school health coordinator should know.
But
They reference the person in here.
But have they been involved in the?
Oh, I don't know. I can't answer that, but.
There was a person, I want to say it was 4 or 5 years ago, came to a meeting, and that was that person there.
Okay.
We were talking about, you know, bike to school days, and they went like, yes, we would be happy to help you with that. And that there is somebody in that role, and that would be an email and or a phone call to that person. Because you're right, you need to understand.
Are you talking about Lori Midiati?
We don't know who we're talking about because none of us know who that person is.
So Steve, have you talked to Alyssa Israel?
I know who she is.
Yeah, she might be a good person to reach out to because she's really the one that spearheaded the whole master plan. And unfortunately, the master plan was done, you know, right after I started. So I can't really provide too much input, but she might be able to help guide you guys in the right direction. The other thing is I now that I'm saying it, I remember saying it last month, but I promise you I will send you a list of all of the projects that we've done between the health department, bike ped, and engineering over the last 8-9 years that followed the master plan, so that you guys can kind of see the bike routes that we've done, the sidewalks that we've done, the bike racks that we've done. And then Tim, just for your to your point about like using the grant funds, so we're using the preventative health block grant, the environmental and policy change. This time around, I really wrote it specifically for sidewalks and pedestrian improvements. But what I can do is I can reach out to Eugene and see, for the next round, which is going to be like a whole new set of years, if we would even be able to use funds towards a consultant for a master plan, because I don't know what he's going to say to that. My gut is saying he probably would say no, but I can at least reach out to him to see if these funds would even be available for that.
So
Why would you
when does that year begin?
I'm sorry, I can't really hear you. What'd you say?
When does that start?
Yeah, so it will start October 1, pending they don't extend this contract period again. They've already extended it 1 year, but we've been told that they're trying to make some, changes up at DPH, so we're not even really sure if the same content areas are going to be the same or what.
You would make that decision over Brenda?
This is the state guy.
Oh, the state.
State money. What's that, Gene, what's his last name?
State, okay.
Is Eugene Nichols?
Oh, yeah, I know him well.
Yeah.
Tell him
Yeah.
I was asking, or maybe he'll be.
I will. But yeah, I'll just see if that's even something, that we would even be able to use funds towards, like a consultant for like a master plan, and see what he says.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And Steve, I will email you tomorrow a list of all of like the projects that have been completed from the master plan.
Do you also have the ability to identify individuals for the acronymal things in here?
People are tired.
I might be able to. I have not looked at the master plan in a very long time, but I will go through it tomorrow and see who I can, identify. But again, I really think reaching out to Alyssa, and if you don't have her contact information, I do. I can connect the two of you, and she's a wealth of knowledge.
Another thing, enforcement recommendations, for example, to me, that's the police department, okay? So I'm laughing, I'm looking on page 11 here, it says, stage crosswalk stings on a regular basis.
This entire document is...
It was copied...
It's a ton of overreach for a bunch, for half a dozen volunteer people.
Absolutely.
We're gonna have the police operate
and for the town in general.
Some of the stuff about we want, so-and-so's one, all this planning recommendation about the requirements and stuff.
Yep.
PC's not gonna, pay any.
Yeah, but the master plan isn't meant to it's your big vision. So if you're gonna dream big, what are your big dreams? And then you kind of cut it down from there. Like it says, like protected bike routes. Well, none of ours are protected because those weren't feasible,
Yeah, the issue though, the issue is it's called a charge. This committee has a charge,
Yep.
and one of the charges is to implement the master plan. It's that, they put down, we're supposed to implement the master plan. There's stuff in here we can't implement.
No, I'd scrap it and do a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This doesn't even do anything for our town. It's like somebody just grabbed a bunch of stuff from an encyclopedia and threw it together and said, here you go, here's your master plan.
No, the first woman has asked us to come back with 2 or 3 things that we
What do you
want
want?
to accomplish.
Right.
Stop
Right.
talking, what do you
So,
want?
Stuff that's
One of the
important.
things that we need to, I think everybody wants, is an updated master plan. So we say to her, well, how can we get there? We think we need resources to do that. We know we need resources.
Let me, but is that updated master plan that we say that we want, is that an updating of this, or is it something that we can actually be involved in? And
okay.
it's just for us to, as opposed to
That's my point, right?
TPC.
Well, that's the point of this
So
committee,
that's
right?
the second step. there's
That's
a
the point of
master
this.
plan for the town,
Right.
maybe,
That's
look
the
at
point
it,
of
I
our
don't know if
committee.
this works.
Right.
So you update the master plan for the town, then you drill down from that and say, okay, what's the charge of the, like, whatever you call it, pedestrian committee? What's our part of this thing? Because we can't be responsible for the whole thing, we don't have the authority to go tell Bucky,
No, we're just
over there,
advisory.
you know,
Right.
we want to protect the bike lanes, so do it. It's gonna tell you that.
We can just give suggestions.
Yes.
I think some of the stuff they have in is really good, like they have this bike lanes, sidewalks, I mean,
Yeah.
some really good suggestions in here, it's just.
Which have been ignored.
Like
for
on
10 years.
page 14, for example, the way they have this illustration, I think it's great, you know, and.
But it's also safety, right?
Yeah, well, safety was always my number one
So the-
goal for this committee, but.
The question is, you need to find out how much is the town gonna buy into doing this? You know, are we kind of like, it's a nice thing to say we have a bike committee, we're really not that interested in doing it, but we'll let them go? Or are they really gonna do something? I mean,
Well, we have
putting
to
in,
submit stuff to Brenda to see if she'll
Yeah.
do something.
Mhm.
If we don't submit anything, we're not gonna ever do anything.
that's right.
Right,
Right.
So what do we wanna submit?
objectives, like,
Yes,
yes.
exactly.
So-
Come up with some ideas
I
that are important to the town.
think of this one as one of them.
Okay,
Right?
Right.
See, I'm sorry, I have a question.
Yeah, go.
Yeah, go
But
ahead.
if you have any questions,
Okay.
I'd be happy to answer.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yep.
But definitely, we did updated the bike, I did marked out what
Right.
we have done and what is left and what other departments' responsibilities are.
thank
So
you.
that's what it was. Any questions?
Thank you.
Sorry, I have a
Go
class
for it.
today.
Okay, well, thank you for coming.
Not a problem, and Bill is in the library screening, hopefully it's going good.
Yeah, I'm gonna head over there after this.
Yeah,
7:30.
you are? Yeah, I think he is seeing the movie and then. he
Yeah, I wanna
is
listen to some
attending.
of the speakers.
It's a great movie.
This, I saw a little bit.
I started watching.
The whole,
It's really good.
whole movie, but I will see the whole movie, it's very.
All right, look, why don't we, let's move on from this for now, even though it's on the agenda at the end. Let's get some other things out of the way because it's almost
Yeah.
7:00 already. And, you know, I think the one suggestion I would make for the next monthly meeting is that we only have one agenda item, and that's to develop the three things. And we need to be specific, we need to all agree on them, we need to vote on them.
Yep.
The language, everything, get it done, we'll spend the hour and a half and get it done. If people want to do some suggested ones in advance, I think that's a very welcome thing to do. Whatever floats your boat, is something important. I think, Mary, you were going down the right path, but I think you need to be more specific. That's my only, I don't think we could just say we need help doing the master plan. I don't think that's,
I was,
She
yeah.
said, get an engineering firm
Yeah.
that does
Thank you.
biking and pedestrian.
but I don't know if we should just like,
To leave this.
Well, we should bring that to her and then go from there and decide with her, that's what I'm saying, this is what we want, and then we.
If- no,
Then we go down to like.
but it's
how
kind of
we-
like, if the master plan's to be updated, here's a couple ways you can do it. You can hire an engineering firm, you can have town employees update their pieces that are in there.
I think she's the one gonna decide on how we're gonna do that, at least.
That's why we're giving her options.
Well,
I think she also
I would
knows.
say we're charged with advising to implement, how to implement the master plan. The master plan is 10 years old. It needs to be updated.
Right.
Done, period.
Right,
Okay.
and then the work, the budget, and determine the best way to do it.
Because I think if we leave it to the employees to do,
No,
they're just,
no.
it's not gonna happen.
It can't be that way.
And
I mean,
even if they were into it, they're just,
If your boss tells you to do it, you do it.
but they're
I
not
agree.
current on what's going
I agree.
on.
The
in
big
this
guy likes
area.
it, I like it.
I mean, look at.
I don't know,
There's,
if you give this
I
to,
feel like Brenda's interested in seeing something happen with this, right?
She seemed to, when we had the meeting in August, she certainly seemed to, you know.
It was like, shut up and tell me what you want.
Just the night that I went to, before my first meeting, she did speak to me briefly,
Yeah.
and she made it seem important, so I was like, all right, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not.
what, the master plan or the role
No,
of the committee?
this whole committee and the
We're not
role in
gonna
being
know
a part
until
of
we
it.
bring the stuff to her. and
Right.
I-
We don't, yeah.
And you know, maybe one of the things is, we have bike routes, none of which are really bike routes.
No, we're
no,
not.
They're bike directions.
No, but that's why we're here. We
Yeah.
gotta bring that to her and say,
Yeah. We
hey,
want
if you really want the bike
protected
route.
lanes, yada, yada,
Well, I think that should be one of our objectives, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And if you watch that movie, okay, it's tremendous. I mean, there's things you can do, putting in 6-inch Belgian block. I mean, to do it somewhere. I'm not even sure where it would be, Mill Plain Road or whatever. But you have to do it. You have to, and we have to be specific though. We want to put in 1 mile of, our goal is to put in 2 miles of protected bike routes, which includes some type of barrier, blah, blah, blah. Go ahead.
Perfect. It's a great lead-in from my part of the report. I'm supposed to stay in touch with people in Bridgeport, because they're talking about protected bike lane from Park Avenue.
Yep.
That's
That's in the master plan, by the way. Did you look at it? That's in the master plan.
Yeah,
I was hoping
that's
I'd be
been
able
in the
to
works
put
for a
this
long
up
time.
there, but
Yeah, New York's in the movie, by the way.
New York's, there's awesome.
And there's
cars on the outside, the bike lanes on the
Yeah.
inside, and the sidewalk.
And there's a place
You can't
called-
get in a car because
There's a
car
place
park.
called Queens Boulevard. It used to be one of those deadliest roads, and now what they've done there, they've reduced the pedestrian deaths by almost to zero, I think, from like 21 or 25 per year.
They have them around Prospects Park.
And,
I gotta step out for a little bit.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yep, thank you.
So, Bridgeport has this initiative, and I've been in touch with the woman's name is Kathy Fletcher twice. Nothing's happened. I emailed her last week, no development. Prior to that, I emailed her in November. We had a couple of other things that are not getting done. Sacred Heart is interested from what we've heard.
Yeah.
And just, I'll pass it around. I wish I could put it up on the screen, but these are the schematics that they've come up with, which are exactly what you're talking about, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a way to push that, I think we should.
Yeah, well, maybe that's one of our objectives.
Is that what you sent the email?
What's
Yeah.
what's cool about,
I've seen it, yeah.
what's cool about something like that too is it can be,
You know why? Because it's very specific. It's a specific location, it's specific things, it's in the master plan
oh, yeah.
that was done 10 years ago.
Like you said, if they can get this done, it's tangible, you can see.
Right,
And
right.
then we get a better idea of what the buy-in is. Are people in the town of Fairfield interested in this stuff? Because if they're not, then why are we?
You know what, you don't know what you don't have until you find out you don't have it, That other people have it.
Yeah.
So can everybody,
Full court press on Bridgeport, and it's probably, from what I've seen, Sacred Heart is the key. I mean, they get things done. Look at what's
Yeah,
happening
sure.
on that campus. And if they want this to happen, I think it has a better chance with them pushing.
So, it's, all right, so we, blah, 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 our charge, 10-year plan, 10-year-old, we would need that done. Second thing is we endorse, we urge protected bike lanes, X number of miles, and, and as a perfect example,
Where it can be done, yeah.
Park Avenue, Sacred Heart, bada bing, bada boom.
Right.
Third thing, I don't know what it is, but I'd like to see us get something pedestrian.
I agree.
Well, this is pedestrian too.
Yeah.
It's a combination.
yeah,
But,
Yeah.
there's something more about, and I don't know what it is, 'cause, as you know, the answer for everything is, oh, it's a state road, we can't do anything,
No, we heard that.
Yeah.
But,
How about the streets that feed into some of those state roads, like, what's that?
Where they don't have crosswalks?
Reef Road?
Down the street, yeah, they have a crosswalk.
So,
You walk
Well,
downtown, it's like you're like playing Frogger.
I brought up
walk
certain,
across from Bank of America to the
Oh, yeah,
Sacred Heart Pier.
thank you. No crosswalk there. You
Yep.
gotta literally play chicken.
no, there should be a
No
crosswalk.
crosswalk.
Oh, absolutely. And then the library across the street as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. no,
North,
it's
south,
great.
you got it,
Yeah.
east, west, you don't.
Exactly.
watch the movie in Phoenix, Arizona, they talk about that, what was going on there. It's absolutely incredibly amazing how little
I'll watch it, yeah.
they cared about the pedestrian. In fact, there's one scene where the woman is who was an advocate, is in a crosswalk, a bus went by, blew right through it as she's standing there. Cars are going by. She's got a guy, she's walking, right? She's walking like this, and there's a guy filming her like this in the crosswalk. She grabs him, she goes, get out of the way. She saved the guy's life.
Oh, my God.
The car just blew right by him. I mean, it was the most incredible. So anyhow, watch the movie. I think you'll be absolutely amazed, but I'm just gonna throw one,
The other thing that you sent, Steve, which I thought was excellent, and which is, I know for me in my job, I don't know if everybody knows, but I'm a safety professional at University at Fordham.
Safety too.
Oh, yeah, what do you do?
I'm just safety coordinator for, engineering firm.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, yeah, I'm overseeing all frontier stuff, aerial and
I
underground.
used to work
Oh,
there.
wow.
Safety for them.
Yeah,
Busy bees.
yeah, very busy.
You work with Bill Pereira?
I don't,
Lynn Monaco? No? Okay. Anyways, I used to work there, yeah. But anyways, I work at Fordham now, and I've been doing safety, 20 some odd years, and what I liked to what Steve sent, and I think it's a really good, way to help us with this, is looking at accident injury data, what you sent from UConn. So I think we really need to focus at some point of looking at the areas that have had tragic incidents, to really push us to start with those areas. It's
Absolutely.
a risk analysis,
Yeah.
do a risk hazard analysis, and look at the accident data, because we really want to focus on the areas where, A, where people are mostly walking or biking, and B, where there's been some, accident or injury to get started with. So I think that's important. That should be a part of what we're doing.
100%.
So how does that tie into our ask from Brenda, or does it?
That's a great question.
well, it's an objective.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think if she's gonna allocate some funds, and I think we should maybe bring to her, where we're seeing these mostly accidents, injuries happen, and ask her to focus maybe in those areas. Either, again, the most populated areas where they're gonna be most used, i.e. downtown, or
School areas.
school areas.
Yeah,
Absolutely, school
schools
areas.
need
as
more
you said,
safety
yeah.
than they have right now.
And then, but someone's gotta look at the data, and look at where the accidents and injuries are occurring, and then ask her, here's where we're seeing these trends. Let's put our money, or at least our first round of money, towards these areas. I mean, that's how we do it in the industry.
I know it's not in the agenda, but
Is that
there are no
hiring
crossing guards right now.
somebody to do that analysis for us?
There's no crossing guards, what?
We could
They-
work on
there's
it. I
zero
think
crossing
I'd
guards
work on
right
it.
now
I do that for
at the
a
schools.
long time.
There's none.
I just-
Okay, hey, folks, can we,
So anyway,
can we,
and
can we,
which
can we move on?
Yeah,
Right.
Steve sent us the
Okay.
UConn data.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I went into that website that Frank told us about, the Yukon Crash Repository, whatever it's called, and I sent a path. You guys can go in and do it. And there was one page in there that it put dots like where all the accidents were. It was a 3-year period. And, my thinking would be that, I think, let's move on to the next thing first. Election of chairperson, vice chairperson, secretary, okay? Because, this is something that needs to be addressed. It's an elephant in the room, and I want to address it. So I'd like to work backwards and see if there's anybody that has any interest in the secretary position, which is doing the minutes and most likely helping to prepare the agenda, although that's questionable. That could be done with the chairperson. And because the alternative is we rotate the minute taking. And this is the most thankless job. It's probably the most, menial job, in my opinion. I'm guessing nobody wants to do it, other than Tom specifically said he didn't want to do it.
That I wasn't auditioning.
No, he's not auditioning. But, I mean, can we agree as a group that, that we don't need, I don't say want, we'd love to have it. And by the way, I did reach out to the town, and they said, no, we're not giving you any resources to do that. So that's I did do that, and that's a done deal. So,
Do they do that for any other committees?
well, when I worked for the town of Reading, okay, for example, I'll just tell you how I worked there. I mean, for the Board of Finance, I was the finance director, but I was the secretary for the Board of Finance. I put the agenda together. We hired somebody to do the minutes. The guy actually worked for me. He got paid. And that's how it was done. It was a committee,
Yeah.
but the town footed the cost.
Yeah.
So you got paid like OT to...
Yeah, it wasn't OT, it was a flat rate, it was like $100 a meeting or something like that. Yeah, stipend, okay. And, so it was paid, and they have no interest in doing that, which is, kind of sad in my opinion. But anyhow.
Fairfield wants a committee, but they don't want to.
For now.
Well, it's a committee, the charter, I think they have, charter, or whatever, other committees, not committees, sort of charters they have, I think they have somebody in place, but not for committees.
For commissions, they provide support for commissions, but not for committees.
Not for committees.
That's the difference. So, but look, I think that, like we talked about last month, to limit it to like one page or whatever, it's not a real big deal, to be honest. and to have to do it maybe once or twice a year, if everybody does it, I don't think is a big deal. So if everybody wants to agree to that, I already sent out like this alphabetical schedule. You know, and with the recording, I would got myself in trouble last month because, you know, didn't pick anybody to do it, so I did it. But then there was no recording. But I still think it came out fine. I mean, you know, it has the basic stuff in there.
Yeah.
Tom's contribution was good, and that's all we need. Okay.
Like you said, though, if you want more, the meeting is recorded, so you can always go
Yeah,
and listen.
that's why I did mine.
So, moving up to going upwards, Vice Chairman, I've indicated in the past that I'd be willing to stay on as Vice Chairman. When Sarah presented this, it was like, you know, when I'm not here, you can, you know, run the meeting or whatever. And I said, okay, fine. Nobody's put their hand up, and we were just sitting there looking at each other, so I said, okay, fine. So that brings us to chairperson, okay? And I'm going to ask the question first. Does anybody in this room would like to be considered to be the chairperson for the rest of, you can change it once a year in December for 2023. I'm going to go one by one and just give me yay or nay. Mike?
No.
Steve?
I can't.
No? No. Okay. So we have two options now, in my opinion, okay? One is I relay the information to Brenda that no one is interested in chairperson, at which point I would guess that the committee becomes defunct. If we're willing to, you know, do that, that's probably what's going to happen. I have a second idea that I came up with, and I'm going to run it by the group here that possibly is an alternative. 2 months ago, I talked about bifurcating the committee between bicycle and pedestrian. So what thought I had was that we have two co-chairmen, one for bicycle and one for pedestrian. They alternate running the meetings, they alternate doing the agendas, and they really focus on that area, okay, specifically. Of course, you're involved in everything, okay? And having said that, I would be willing to be the co-chairman for the pedestrian side. So if somebody is willing to step up and be the co-chairperson for the bicycle side, we can do it that way. Otherwise, you know, we're kind of wasting we'll just adjourn the meeting now because I think it'll be the last meeting. So that's where we're at. So
you think she's gonna get rid of it if there's no chairperson?
Well, how are you gonna do it?
Can we vote on, we have two people absent, so. Just one.
We was in a meeting last month for something else, and they had a hole for vice president, guy who wasn't there, they put him in there.
Oh, wow.
You can't do that.
Well,
I'd like to, it's just hard, I can do it.
I thought about it, my wife said, don't do it, just.
yeah, my wife told me not to do it either, but, you know, it's...
I like the idea of bifurcating that. I wonder if we could, I've not done anything in terms of outreach for other members who might be interested in joining the committee and maybe, you know, assuming more of a leadership role. And I'm thinking of some bikers that I know of that are pretty serious bikers in town.
Like Hell's Angels? That'd be cool. I'd like that.
Meet at their club.
They'll knock on the door, get your curb clean, and then wants the bicycle here.
At the little door, you know, hello?
But before we, you know, make
We're a $1 trillion organization.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, that's certainly, look, we don't have a lot of options. Mm-hmm. I'm willing to donate half my time, you know, not full time. And that's where we stand, so. If somebody wants to do that, and again, it's, you know, it's to me, it's the admin part that's the pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to come up with the agenda. I deal with the town clerk. Tim knows the issue I have with the town clerks with the minute, and then just being, you know, not very
User friendly.
Oh, you guys sent it to them? Is that what you did?
That's why it's a special meeting. They didn't get the calendar, therefore it had to be a special meeting, and I sent the calendar to Jennifer, and I says, you have to send it directly to us. I forwarded it, and they wouldn't accept it, me forwarding the one that I sent to Jennifer to them. They wouldn't accept it.
Come on, you know.
I mean, it's bullshit. Yeah, I know. Pardon me, race that.
Delete.
Strike that for the minute.
Delete. Strike that.
Yes, it is, Bill Smith does like that.
So,
Yeah, I think you're right, Steve, the administrative part would be the thing that, I mean, I feel like I have a lot of ideas and suggestions I definitely wanna share, but I just don't have time to.
and I think, you know, the other thing too is I think the committee can run better if it's project and task oriented with assignments, okay? In other words, you don't just come once a month and say, here's what I think should be done.
Right.
Steve, you volunteer to, do blah, 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 and Tom, you're gonna, you know,
Well, Sarah was trying to do that with the subcommittee.
you're gonna take
Sarah was trying to do that with the subcommittees.
you're gonna try to take that crash data and take the dots on there and
Right.
put a list of all the streets where it actually happened and the street addresses, okay? You're gonna do that. You know, someone's really needs to be the point person on the master plan update, you know, once that gets rolling, that type of thing. And, you know, I think everybody should have a task.
Designate responsibilities, I agree.
But what that does is it lessens the responsibility on the chairperson too.
So if we all agree to do that, so everybody takes, do we need a chairman?
That's a good.
Somebody has to run the meeting.
Okay, but, so you run the meeting, but we have an understanding.
Yeah, but running the meeting is still doing the agenda and doing the
The administrative part.
the administrative part.
Suppose we set the agenda, like,
At the end of the meeting,
The
for
agenda,
next week.
the agenda
The
could
agenda
just
could be
be,
really
but it could
standard.
just be like, we're getting at 3 objectives to Brenda. You know, we're going to review, you know, the master plan.
like,
We're gonna review accident injury data.
the agenda can be almost the same every month. Report from the health department, report from this, and then committee reports, and that's it. And you know, and just
I
change
agree
the
with
dates
that.
every month.
I agree with that. They're action items don't come
Okay,
off.
so if it's such an easy
Action items
job,
don't
somebody,
come
why
apart.
doesn't somebody put their hand up? That's what I
Chicago
don't understand.
Association in Vermont,
How come nobody's still putting their hand up? So that's my point.
the agenda
Well,
is set in the
I work full-time, that's hard. And I commute in the city, and it's hard.
Well, look, here's what we're gonna do, okay, and then we're gonna adjourn the meeting. I'm gonna send an email to Brenda tomorrow saying, look, we cannot, no one has stepped up to be the chairperson. What do you suggest? And to me, one thing that would be very cool is if a town employee did exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
I like
A
that.
town employee is the chairperson of the committee.
That's what
Or
you do.
the support to it.
And if they get a stipend for it, then you budget a few $1,000s a year for them to come once a month for an hour and a half and to run the meeting and do all that stuff and, you know, work with the town clerk and all that. So, you know,
Why don't you suggest that?
if you'd like me to do that, I'll do that. Not, for now, the first salvo, I'm gonna just say, we had our meeting last night and unfortunately, you know, we talked about, bifurcating the committee and couldn't find a second person to just, you know, manage that piece of the bicycle, side of it, so.
Am I the only person here who is more of like the biker?
I mean, I care for safety for both, but I'm more of a walker than a biker, but.
Okay.
Yeah, I have one other thought, and could be
Sure, go
off
ahead.
track here, but this was just a thought I had, was to take away some of the administrative responsibility. I don't know how it's gonna go, but to take away, why don't we, if we were gonna try to continue to run this, is leave the last 10 minutes, 5 of a meeting, somebody with a laptop, be happy to do it, and just send off the agenda, or whatever. I know there's probably other clerical, and I'm not missing that, because I don't know what they are, but something like that to take the responsibility off of Ken will have it during the week,
Well, that's what a secretary
or
would
bring
do.
it to the meeting.
Nobody wants to be the secretary.
No, I'm saying do it at times as part of the meeting so that it's done.
Yeah, but
Here's our
still,
agenda.
who's gonna,
So maybe,
If we can time down, just, here's agenda, here it is, guys, and just shoot it off. It takes 5 minutes.
so the person who's acting as the secretary for that meeting does that? Or
I mean, if I have a laptop.
so the minute taker
also.
prepares the agenda for the next month.
Yeah, and we decide on what that's gonna be.
But if we're having,
do it right there,
but how
you
I'm
know?
visualizing it is, as you said, is having an agenda that's pretty consistent.
Yeah.
So therefore, we're not making tons of changes to it.
Right.
We're having these goals that we're working off of, action items, whatever you wanna call them, and it's in here, and then we just take the last 7, 10 minutes, whatever, and shoot it off.
It also
I mean, I don't
doesn't
know,
mean-
but there could be other administrative stuff that I'm missing. I'm just saying for the agenda part of it. Any minutes, whatever.
It also doesn't mean, I mean, it's written in digital, it's a digital doc, you could add other things, something comes out between that and the next meeting.
I'm going to a meeting after this for a fraternal organization, and the agenda has been exactly the same every meeting for 15 years.
Yeah. And if we have items that we're trying to be consistent.
Opening,
with,
bada bing, report from that guy, report from this guy, report from that guy, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
New business,
Drink
old
beer.
business, adjourn.
Drink beer.
Happy to, just send it off at the end of the meeting, but again, I don't know.
Not a bad idea, I mean, but you know what I wanna do? I wanna put it in her court first, because I'm sure this has happened before.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm sure it's happened before. And again, the ideal situation would be if they provide us with a person to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But they haven't thus
And-
far, so I wouldn't be hopeful for that.
Yeah.
It's, you know, she stated to Steve how she thought this committee was valuable,
Yeah.
very valuable, okay? Bill Hurley has stated that. Mary Hogue has stated that, which, by the way, I'm going to that sustainability thing. Is
When is
hopefully somebody else, it's on a Wednesday, maybe a week from, it might be the 30th, is that a Wednesday?
Is there one issue?
It's 5:30 to 7 at the Historical Society thing here, but it's an opportunity to meet people, and, you know, frankly.
Monday.
It's a Monday, okay. Well, no, I think it is a Wednesday. I might have the wrong date.
February 1st then.
Yeah, let me tell you
Wednesday,
the,
Feb. 1,
hang on.
or Wednesday, Jan. 25.
It's the 25th.
Oh, that's a Wednesday, yeah.
It's next Wednesday.
And what
Anyways,
is-
I just thought.
What is that
if,
again? Sorry.
You know, we could just.
Okay, so they're getting, the town of Fairfield's getting a sustainability award, okay? And this committee has had some influence in that area. Okay, things like they plant trees are calming
Oh,
effect along the roads, and Mary Hogue is the chairman of that committee, and she would love for all of us to come to celebrate this, and it's, you know, they said light refreshments or whatever. And she says it's also a good opportunity to meet those people. So, you know, if I send, I'm guessing Brenda Kupchak's gonna be there, and it might be a good, it might be a good opportunity. It might be a good opportunity for us to kind of hammer to her that if we had an admin people, you know, we could keep this thing going, we all wanna do it, or we'll see how it goes, but.
Yeah.
I mean,
But I'm gonna start with the email.
Yeah.
I'll send that out tomorrow and say, you know, what do you suggest? I'm gonna leave it open-ended and say, what do you suggest? Mike, if you wanna see if somebody wants to do like I said, I'm willing to do half the job.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
How many spots are open on the committee? One?
One, yeah,
One?
yeah. You know.
But it has to be, this has to be a Republican, Democrat, Independent balance, right?
no, there's not, obviously. No, there's
No,
not,
I know.
obviously. I was just looking at the committee members and,
It's not
There's
working
not.
that way.
no.
I think that, yeah, that's
There's
what I
no
brought to
balance?
the table.
None.
There's no balance?
Hardly.
There's not a balance, no.
No balance.
There's no balance, no.
Is there
And
supposed to be a balance?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there?
There's supposed to be.
Really?
Actually, I filled that. I was originally registered as a Republican. I moved here 27 years ago. Haven't voted for him in 2 decades, but.
Well, it still says R.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, good.
it's however you're
Balance- just
registered,
balance
yeah.
that out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of R's. When do you want to be?
One D.
I've got
There's
a
only
lot of
one day,
stuff.
well, we need to get.
We have any ayes?
Yeah,
We
thank you.
we must have an aye, right?
I don't really care about
Independent?
that.
We have an independent?
It's me.
Yeah.
Affiliated.
Okay, we're gonna,
That doesn't sway.
end the meeting, adjourn the meeting at 7:25.
Being Democrat or.
Thank you, everybody.